Now, Eskom has asked the National Treasury for several waivers from normal procurement rules and regulations in the new nuclear build program. Eskom said in a statement that sections of the Preferential Procurement Policy Framework Act and the Public Finance Management Act might need to be waived, as most of the work on the nuclear procurement had been done before the promulgation of the regulations over the last year. Eskom says these are related to the proposed evaluation criteria, which would include elements of localization and the extension of the bid validity from 12 weeks to 2 years. For more on this, Eskom's Chief Nuclear Officer Dave Nichols joins me from Cape Town now. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Why do you need to be exempted from government standard procurement procedures?
Well, I think exempted is possibly a strong phrase. What we've asked National Treasury, or we're in discussion with National Treasury over, we haven't formally asked for it yet, is certain waivers and exemptions. And some are related to the fact that the project's very large, and therefore, for example, in terms of the standard rules of Treasury, you're required to have no more than 12 weeks validity for a bid. In other words, you've got to close the bid, select the vendor, and place the contract in 12 weeks, which clearly is not practical for a nuclear project. We're looking at something more like 2 years. Other ones are ones because National Treasury, the Cabinet has taken a decision that we should get the bids from the firm bid from the marketplace before taking the funding model to Cabinet. And that clearly means that we're going to change the order slightly, which National Treasury normally wants you to do, which is get the funding proposal up front before you go for the bid. And we've also asked for clarity of the previous work that's been done between ourselves and DOE over the last few years to say, does it meet the certain conditions that they want on feasibility before a project goes to RFP, which clearly was done before the new regulations came into place in last July.
Okay, the Democratic Alliance says this is an attempt to rushing through the procurement process and says that they're going to oppose you asking Treasury for these waivers. What's your response?
Eskom regularly asks for minor variations of regulations of National Treasury, which are essential guideline. We don't think we're rushing anything through. This process has been underway for some time. We expect to go out for procurement at the end of June, assuming everything goes well. And this is all pre-work for that proposal. We would then give 3 months for them to apply, 3 months to evaluate. And the contract placement, if we get that far, will actually probably be the end of 2018, beginning of 2019.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of jitters.
So it's not a rushed process.
Yeah, there's a lot of jitters around this process. People are speaking about the amount of money involved, the possibility for corruption, and the amounts that it costs to implement nuclear. What's your response to people who are not the DA, who say that these requests for waivers are not allaying fears that this process is going to be transparent and there is going to be no corruption around the nuclear deal?
Transparency is something Eskom's pushed very hard since this came into our hands with the Section 34 determination, which was gazetted in December last year. And as such, we're putting the request for proposal on the public website. It's an open tender. So we're going for a turnkey contract on an open tender, which is the cleanest way of doing any bidding process. In terms of amount of money involved, power generation is an expensive business. The government's already underwritten somewhat 200 billion rand of IPP contracts. So we're in a situation that we're saying the analysis says that to meet the baseload needs of this country over the next 30, 40 years, we need to have, in South African sense, either coal or nuclear. There is no hydro in the country and there is no natural gas in the country. We can import it, but that's going to make no jobs in the country and cost foreign currency in large ways. So if the choice is coal or nuclear, then we see the need to explore the nuclear option aggressively to make sure that we are placed to do that.
Now, Eskom has been involved with the Tegeta coal deal. Treasury has released a statement, apparently, that the 659 million rand that was given to Tegeta needs to be turned into a loan, and Treasury does not appear to be impressed with how this deal was done. Do you think this is going to hurt your chances of asking for these waivers?
I'm going to make no comments on the Tegeta deal. That isn't my area, and I would leave that to the correct area of the company to deal with. I'm not in a situation to discuss that.
Dave Nichols from Eskom joining us there from Cape Town. Thanks so much for your time.